One thing that everybody's always talking about is what is everybody getting in Netflix, right? I know a couple of the numbers. Everybody's contract's gonna be totally different. Do you feel that what they're paying the athlete, it's gonna change the game where people are like, you know what? When my UFC contract is up, I'm gonna wait for free agency and maybe I might get the opportunity to get one of those Netflix checks. Is it worth that? Everybody's talking about, oh, they're throwing big cash around, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's willing to show the receipt of the paycheck. So we're just going off of what people are saying. But from you, you've always been a truthful guy. Do you think it's worth people waiting to test free agency to hopefully one day get opportunity to fight under MVP promotions? Jake Paul talks a lot about, Dana White and, the athletes should be making more money. They want to get 2%, which I totally understand. And me and Michael go back and forth, but the UFC can always pay another fighter to get the job done, right? They can't pay, you got to pay, your stars like Ilya Topuria, Justin Gaethje, Paddy Pimblett, Alex Pereira, the list just goes on, Carlos Prates. But is Netflix throwing around big dick money where it's worth to wait out your contract and try to test free agency?
That's kind of always a battle in the MMA career, because even when you're in with the UFC, say you get down to your last two or your last one even.
Yep.
They're throwing sometimes, not every time, not all the time. You got to be fun. If you're fun, they're throwing a new contract at you, which makes the fight you're about to fight more expensive. You're going to get paid a little more for the one you're about to fight anyways. So you're like, oh yeah. And then, you're getting 4 more fights on your deal. So then you're up in the amount of fights you're going to get. So, and UFC does that. Why do they do that? Right.
Yep.
Because you're fun, you're making waves. So, and you're like, I'll take more fights for an extra 10 or 20 grand this fight. It's 10 or 20 more than I was going to get. But then there's that thought of, oh, this is my last fight. I'm going to fight it out. There's lots of thoughts that come with that. If you're going to fight out the last one, you're like, oh, they're not throwing a new contract at me. They're going to let me see if I fight this one out. Okay, I'm going to fight this one out. Oh, I win. I'm successful. They're going to throw another fight at me or another contract, another 4-fight deal. If I win, it's all do or die in this game. So, Nate said it. He was like, oh, it's going good for me. Word. Me too. I'm getting my pieces. I try to get down and dirty with the teammates who are grinding for an opportunity somewhere in their future. And I have an opportunity. All I got to do is show up fight night, but I continue to go to the gym and make sure I put in time to get down and dirty to make sure that I'm ready under those lights.
So would you say it's worth testing it? Because I've heard Nate Diaz said he had a better offer from the UFC than he did on Netflix. I think that was on Theo Von's podcast. But
right,
I think for him, maybe it's to not get handcuffed. Because if you go to UFC, the contract's gonna be okay, your 3-fight deal, this is what you're gonna get. There's no more pay-per-view. But for him, I think the free agency is more appealing. I could be wrong, and I could be speaking out of context, because when I watched it, he goes, I actually got a better deal from the UFC than I did from Netflix. I'm like, that's weird. Why would you go for the bigger deal? So that's why I'm trying to figure out, is it worth for an athlete? Because when people see different promotions, they're always like, should I wait out that free agency, right? Sometimes UFC, like you said, if you're not exciting, they'll cut you. They're like, we'll get somebody who's gonna be more excited because they're more about the entertainment business, not the best athletes, under the octagon fighting. So is it, appealing to go to that last fight of your deal and I want to see what Netflix is offering? Because you're never going to know what Netflix is making unless you get to that point in your career. If that makes sense.
Right. And for a fighter, fighters do reach out there. They do put themselves out there. They do make videos, make content. You gotta come into contact with the right people. It's not just who you know, it's who knows you. and make sure, that they get a good look at some what do they call it, household names, or
Household
like
name.
being mainstream.
Yep.
I mean, so I'm trying to level up, but after this fight, there's opportunities and possibilities, and maybe I'll disappear, and then when I come back, I'll be on a speedboat with a helicopter flying by